So when we write it, we discover things about the problem. Do you find that? When you stop and write it, that's why I do want you to write it, particularly when it's a word problem. All right, so what are key academic words and definitions, two, that you find with this problem? Fertilizer. Mathematical.
Amount.
Huh? Amount? How would you define it if that's amount? What about something like direct variation or proportional? Big words. This is what we're talking about. We're talking about doing one of these per assignment day. That's it. But it makes you think about what the assignment's all about and what vocabulary is associated with it. Okay? So what are we talking about? What's involved? It varies directly. That's in there. Let's use it. Varies directly. So what does that mean? What does varies directly mean? What do you think it means? Because if it does it to one thing, it does the same thing to the other thing, right?
So it changes in both?
So it does exactly the same thing in both situations. So how do we put that in math language? Or not math language? In human language, so you can remember it. What does varies directly mean? If we calculate it for one, it works for the other.
It works on both sides.
We know it's y equals kx calculated, works throughout the problem. The other thing that direct variation does, it's proportional. What do we mean when we talk about proportional? What's proportionality or being proportional? Equal, and usually one set of numbers is equal to another set of numbers. When you calculate proportions, it's one fraction equal to another fraction, right? So two sets of numbers, we'll call it frequently fractions, sorry about my horrible handwriting, set equal. Does that make sense? So it's like 1/2 equal to 2/4. They're proportional.
And what is it? Congruently?
Well,
After numbers?
Frequently.
Frequently.
Congruently.
My F's are funny.
they're crazy.
I just put usually.
Yeah, there you go.
Fractions.
You're going to have to answer the two versions. What I knew about my question before I attempted to solve it. It might be very little. This was the first time I've ever thought about or even heard of direct variation. Though I knew something about proportions in the 6th and 7th grade. Okay? So now we're going to look at the critical thinking and identifying the general steps. This is a me chart. The critical thinking is the math. The general steps is the English. So we're going to look at this. If the amount of fertilizer needed for a lawn varies directly with the area of the lawn, 4 pounds of fertilizer are needed for 500 square feet of lawn. So what we're going to do is y equals kx. First we need to calculate it for the lawn we know about. So if we have 500 square feet of lawn and we need 4 pounds of fertilizer, do it. Okay, so this is the known problem
Or is it the other way around?
we have x and y. We don't have the constant. Okay. Known problem, fertilizer, is 4 pounds and square feet is 500. And what we did was we put it in a direct variation problem. Okay, so we're going to divide both sides by 4. And we're going to isolate the variable. So K, how many 4s in 500? We're at 125.
Yeah.
Okay, so we found the variable. So what we know now we're going to look at Dr. Quagmire's lawn. We need to find the area of the lawn, which is 25 by 50. So how do you find the area? 25 times 50 equals the area. So what's the math? What's 25 times 50? 1,250 square feet would be the area. You see why? 5 quarters is $1.25 with a 0 after it. Now, use the constant we found. Which was what? We found a constant above, right? We found K. So we know Y before was 500. Now Y is 1250 equals, it's the square footage. What's the constant we found? K. 125 X.
Can you raise it up a little bit?
Use the constant we found above and plug in to Y equals KX. Ladies. Then we're going to isolate the variable X. Ladies. Okay, and how do we do that? Yeah.
You divide both sides by 25, or 125?
Divide both sides by 125. Excellent. So X is equal to 10. And so how much fertilizer? So Dr. Quagmire needs 10 pounds of fertilizer for his lawn. So the two things that you have to answer for yourselves are, what did you know about the question? And it might have been, I knew there was a question. I knew that y equaled kx, but I needed help to get through the process. And then the last thing you do is you summarize what was accomplished with the problem. What did you learn? Did you run into a problem? Did you find that once you got to here and you found the 1250, you didn't know where to go next? So once we went past and went, oh, okay, now that I found the area, go back into y equals kx. Now I know that it's a two-part with some of these, because they gave me another problem within the problem, which is normal. That's how direct variation really works. Okay? So you're going to have to go through and do that summary. We're only going to do one a day.